champ select just for you now, and we can already see bans coming out fairly thick and fast. Lulu and Nar coming out for the side of Choke, and Diana and Rek'Sai coming out for the side of XL. So Ped definitely known for his Lulu. He plays a ridiculous amount of Lulu in the current meta, and Lulu is a very strong champion, so it's not really that surprising. Meanwhile, we do see a Nar ban. Artorias, we discussed during the promotion tournament how he seems to be, I want to say he's very similar to Ziviz in that he either does extremely well or he doesn't. And Nar is one of those champions that he can do very well on. Definitely an option for him. And they obviously want to take that away. Meanwhile, Gragas band, I guess that's just a very strong jungler that they don't want to have to deal with in the current meta.
Absolutely. And I mean, Nocturnal Plex as well is more than happy to play that Gragas. We saw Nocturnal Plex at Epic Land. He was playing for Infused, which another team Plex has played for. I mean, a lot of, if you guys are new to the UK scene at all, a lot of these UK players have played on multiple UK teams in the past. So these players all know each other fairly well. Some obviously more than others, but Plex definitely has been around the scene for quite a while, and actually hovering on the Evelyn, then hovering the Lee, so clearly wanting to go for something very aggressive here.
You have to be careful with Nocturnal Plex in Champ Select. He is a little bit of a troll. He may very well have a Blitzcrank for a little while just to wind us up, but he does have that tendency. But we will have to see. Oh, Victor insta-locked from Alchemist this game. We've already mentioned how strong Victor is in the current meta. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that we actually saw a Braum first pick for Hado. He definitely played a lot of Braum, and it's one of his preferred supports in the current meta, as well as some would regard a top tier support in the current meta. He had very subtle buffs to his his Q, and so the mana costs less, and it does a little bit more damage. So it's definitely a little bit stronger, and his laning is very solid. So definitely a strong support, but I'm a little surprised that they picked it this early on into the game. Obviously, something Hado values very highly, but as a result, they have handed over Elise to the side of XL, and I mean, we've gone on enough about how strong Elise is in the current meta.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw Nutri doing so well on that Spider in the first game between FM and the National University Esports League. We'll see what Tati can do to try and replicate that. I'll be interested to see what kind of build path he goes for, whether he opts to go for that sort of spell penetration type build, or whether he decides to go for the tankier CDR based build that we saw Nutri go on. And actually Nutri ended up going for, I think it was a second item Warmogs on that Elise, so very tanky build, very high HP build, and actually going to see a Maokai locked in here for Artorias up in that top lane.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that they put Artorias on that Maokai. Generally he prefers to play these carry style top laners, but I guess because they can't see the top laner that is being played, they've decided to play it safe. They've decided to just pick something that you can't really do that badly on. We will have to see whether or not how well he performs, because I feel like a large amount of XL's performance will rely on the performance of Artorias. Meanwhile, we do see an Olaf locked in, so definitely a champion that's been rising in popularity recently, and with the new item Dead Man's Plate, he's definitely improved somewhat in the current meta.
He certainly has, and we've seen him a lot. I mean, we've seen him from the jungle, we've seen him in the top lane, and I mean, if you guys missed it, TSM in playoffs, Dyrus picked that Olaf twice in the top lane. In one of the games he got a quadra kill, and that about says everything about that pick. You can hard carry with that Olaf up in the top lane. We'll see if Dumbo Smash can replicate that success that Dyrus has had with that champion. And I mean, you could argue that axes are a hard counter to trees. We've been using axes to cut down trees for a lot of years, so we'll see if Dumbo can replicate that lumberjack style up in the top lane on that Olaf.
So one thing I want to mention is that Alchemist is actually playing with Ignite.
Another hard counter to trees.
We do have a real man in the mid lane from Choke, something that I'm always happy to see. But yeah, one thing I want to talk about, you know he's going to swap it, but I'm going to be very disappointed in him. But the one thing I want to talk about how this Olaf works is that he's running Ignite, and we will see Cork.
He's got heal.
We'll go back. We'll talk about the mid lane matchup in a little bit, but I want to talk more about this Olaf at the moment, because TSM, what they did with the Olaf is basically they said, no, we don't want to run protect the AD, we want to run protect the Olaf. So you have things like a Lulu, you have things like a Janna, and they basically provide peel for an Olaf, and you can't kill him anyway because of his ultimate, his
Ragnarok.
The Ragnarok that prevents you from getting crowd controlled up, and it gives you massive resistances in the form of armor and magic resist, and it just, because of how strong his base damages are, if you make him the tank, if you use him as the Juggermore, or the Juggerlaugh, as it were,
the Jugger Viking,
yeah, and instead you make him the front line basically, so you don't rely on your AD carry to be the Juggermore, you rely on your top laner, and that's pretty much what TSM did. But that's not what they're going to do in this game. They're just, I feel like that's a comfort pick for Dumbo. It's something that does fairly well into Maokai. It can apply a lot of pressure, it has decent wave clear, it can trade very well, and it'll do a very good job. If that was a mid lane Cogmore, he would struggle. Mid lane Cogmore really would struggle against something like an Olaf. But in fairness, on the AD with a Janna, it'll fare fairly well. It should be okay against, because he will have a fair amount of peel. So we will have to see how. But like the bot lane for choke is something that XL really need to be a little bit afraid of. Because in this early game, they have a lot of aggression. You have the bombs coming out from Tristana, and the Winter's Bite from Olaf makes some very strong trading in the early game, and we all know how powerful Tristana is at this level 2, level 3 mark all-in point.
Yeah, obviously the Braum, with that Winter's Bite, with the Concussive Blows passive, you just have so much lane presence, and as well, the Unbreakable, the amount of damage that you can prevent with that giant shield, or door as it is, you can just completely deny any trade back from the enemy AD carrying. I mean, arguably, you can offer just as much defense as even a Janna can in that bottom lane, and it's definitely something that's going to be difficult to contest for XL. And I would expect, I mean, with a Cogmore Janna lane anyway, you're not going to tend to go aggressive anyway. You're going to be playing that defensive farm lane. I think the main lane to be watching here is probably going to be either the Olaf in the top lane or this mid lane. Corki versus Victor. There's certainly space for plays to be made there.
Yeah, as much as I'd like there to be, I know Alchemist as a renowned passive farmer as well as Ped, and so it won't quite be as exciting as we saw with Dynasty versus Zivers, where I just feel that Ped might go aggressive onto Alchemist, but he's a very conservative player. He's a very logical player that prefers to play a passive style, prefers to scale well into the mid and late game, and once he gets that Trinity Force, which I assume he will go into, he should be fairly good to trade against Alchemist. And I'm looking forward to the mid lane matchup, because we haven't seen a Corki mid in a long time. The last time, just off memory, is I remember High used to play it a lot in the mid lane a long time ago, but
it has been played more recently than that to sort of offer some AP in the mid lane when you're running an AP top laner and you want to run that AD mid, but you still need some extra AP damage in your lineup. It can be played there. We've seen it a couple of times in Korea over in the LCK. I know it's fairly favoured over there, but yeah, it's not really too popular of a pick.
I do wonder how he might decide to build, because, as you rightly said, he does scale with ability power, and sometimes I have seen people build Luden's Echo on the Corki, so that might be an option for Ped, but it does decide, we'll have to see, because to be honest, I've never really seen Ped play Corki. When I saw the Cogmore locked in, that's what I assumed he would play, because Cogmore's a very decent champion into Victor. He offers very good wave clear and very good poke. But I suppose they've got a strat in mind. They've definitely got a plan coming into this game, and we heard in the interview how confident they are feeling. So I guess we'll have to see how XL's plan pans out coming into this game.
We certainly will, and we are going to be heading on to the Rift in just a few seconds for you guys. Now, obviously, as we've said, Choke do look to be the favourites in this matchup, but XL certainly have a powerful draft. They've got a massive mid-game power spike on that mid-lane Corki, and as well, with an AD carry Cogmore, your late-game damage is obscenely high. You can melt through those tanks, but are they going to be able to protect that Cogmore up against Dumbo Smash on that Olaf? Or is Jokerism going to be smashed by the end of this game? We'll have to find out. The only thing about this game that I'm super disappointed about is the fact that we don't see DX Alchemist's looks coming out.
I'm more disappointed about the lack of Ignite coming out of Alchemist. I mean, why will nobody run Ignite on Victor? Anyway, moving aside from that point, it will be interesting to see. We can see Choke already grouping up as 5, looking to get deep vision down into the top half of the jungle. And this is something that we saw from FM as well, getting deep wards, preparing in the event of a potential lane swap. But Artorias needs to be a little bit careful.
He does indeed. Sir Scott going to be the one pushing in onto that tree. Does throw the bomb down, but not going to be able to finish that one off just on his own. Running that Rocket Girl Chroma. Beautiful little yodel there. And we are going to see that typical ward thrown out just to scout for any kind of lane swaps coming through again. And honestly, in this scenario, do you think either team wants to go for a lane swap here?
Yeah, I think XL do want to go for a lane swap. I think that's the best thing for a Cork. You want him to scale into the late game. And you can see the one bush that isn't warded for the side of Choke is exactly the bush that XL are going to be able to sneak through. So it does look like they're going to go for this lane swap. And I don't think Choke have any awareness that it's going to go on.
Well, they don't just yet. It depends on the positioning of this Cogmore, and he is about to walk past a ward. So they know this is going on. The pings are coming out. They're well aware of this lane swap, but we're already 1 minute 50 in. It's too late, really, for too much of a reaction to come through here. And it's going to be the Krug start coming out from the Choke Gaming bottom lane. Going to be able to get that early level 2. And up against a Maokai. I mean, they were going to get early level 2 anyway, as he's off doing the Raptors. Yeah,
well, with XL coming in with the lane swap, they're obviously going to duo jungle, and this is the first time we've seen a team start with the duo jungle and actually pays off in the event of a lane swap. You can already see Choke. Doesn't matter that it just doesn't matter the fact that they that the lane swap has come through. They've got the lane pushing in their favor in the top, and the duo jungle will mean that Dumbo isn't really going to lose very much. Quite surprising, actually, they've decided to give the blue buff over to Dumbo. Nocturnal, as long as he gets his levels, he doesn't really need the blue buff for his early clear, and it will give him a bit of extra experience. And if he decides to go into that 2v1 lane, then it's absolutely fine. So good decision making. But you can also see from the Haddo, look, he's moving and he's trying to see what the enemy team is doing, and unfortunately for XL, they can't steal away the blue buff. So I wonder if they're actually going to get 3 buffed by Choke.
They might well do, and I mean, really smart. Giving that Olaf the blue buff means he can just spam out those axes, just keep on throwing that undertow, and it just does so much damage. And I mean, it costs a lot of mana, rightly so, but with that blue buff, it's just not an issue for them, and immediately they head over towards their own blue buff. They're going to be giving that one over to Nocturnal Plex, and actually they're going for a very early tower here.
Yeah, that's not really that surprising. This is something that the 4-man push is a fairly common thing that you see in terms of the lane swap. But oh, Plex might be caught out of position a little bit.
Yeah, he might well be. He's going to be able to take away that blue buff. Going to be spotted out by that little wisp from smiting the wolf, but should be able to pull himself out of this one.
Needs to be careful.
Is around here. Plex is just not afraid though right now. He knows that there is pressure in this bottom lane, and he knows that they can't really commit to going for him.
Yeah, with Janna here as well, he should be okay, and this is exactly what XL want for Jokerism. They just want him to be sitting in that top lane, getting as much free farm as possible, and Taddy needs to be really careful here because that is a level 3 Plex, but nothing really going to come out of it. And I do expect now they are going to lose that tower in the bottom lane, but this is absolutely fine now because now you've got all these lanes pushing in the favor of XL or Sir Scott.
Sir Scott actually in a little bit of trouble. The stun is going to come back out onto Artorias though. Sir Scott still has that heal, so he's not going to be in too much trouble, as Plex could be the one in a lot of trouble here, as Exabyte is going to look for the knock-up. Plex manages to dodge it though. The Lee Sin plays coming out here as Sir Scott uses his heal to protect his jungler, and actually they're going to be able to get away with this one.
Yeah, flash used for Plex and heal used from Sir Scott to keep that jungler alive. Plex being a little bit too aggressive, not respecting the damage coming out from Elise this early. Meanwhile, you can see that the flash did come out from Artorias, thinking he could pick himself up a kill, but unable to do so. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Jokerism now needs to be really careful.
Does indeed. Look at the damage that Dumbo Smash can throw out. Honestly, when I saw Dumbo Smash enter the champion select, when I first saw his name, I was like, please play something like Olaf or Darius, and immediately they do lock in the Olaf, and I'm so excited to see how well he does on this champion. So far, Jokerism's having a hard... Like, he's been in lane for about 4 seconds, and Jokerism's already on about a third of his health.
Yeah, that's just an issue with Olaf. He has those throwing axes that he can be a real pain on, but nevertheless, it's nice to see that still Choke are doing well in terms of farm, and now what they need to do is that you can see they're already sending the support back to top lane so that they can start applying pressure back onto Dumbo Smash. They don't want him getting gold, they want to put him behind, and Maokai's okay being a little bit behind in terms of farm, in terms of being behind in gold, because he's just so naturally tanky anyway, so this is definitely at the moment going fairly well for XL.
It certainly is, and Artorias doing his very best to try and protect this tower, taking a huge chunk of damage, though so far he's doing a good job to hold on to that bottom lane objective. So Scott maybe needs to be a little bit careful here, doesn't have his heal available. Should anyone else come down, he could be in a bit of trouble, but Artorias, now that he's on less than half HP, is he going to be able to go in for this defense yet again? Yeah,
I mean, he has no flash either, and he needs to be really careful himself because he's running low on mana. And we'll have to see whether or not they'll actually be able to take this tower. You can see how aggressive he's playing on the front line, but they should be able to pick this one up. So Scott, though,
he might just have to trade his life for this one. In fact, Artorias could be the one going down as the stun comes out. So Scott's so low, the minion auto attack finishes it. First blood comes across to Artorias. He's going to get one. He's looking for the Haddo. Can he finish this one? He has no mana. He's tanking the minions, and Plex has arrived on the scene. One Sonic Wave will finish off this tanky tree. That's going to be the cripple coming out from that Tempest.
You want in the top?
Picking up a kill, and now in the top lane. That's a kill onto Jokerism as Dumbo's Smash goes down.
This plan for XL is now working out incredibly well. I can't believe Artorias managed to get a 2v1 kill onto Sir Scott, and it all started as a result of Plex's mispositioning earlier on. When Plex burnt his flash earlier, Sir Scott also burnt his heal, and unfortunately if Artorias had held on to his flash, I'm convinced that would have been a double kill. I'm almost certain that would have been a double kill for XL, and now as a result, even though they lost the bottom tower, they're going to pick the tower up themselves in the top lane. Oh, they should be able to get this tower, but now the bot lane's pushing in their favour. They can quite easily get the freeze going on in favour of Artorias, and Jokerism now, oh, they might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, they might. The AD carry and support have arrived up in the top lane for Choke Gaming, but not going to be able to follow through with anything. Just going to be clearing out these minions and maybe looking to try and get a bit of pressure onto that top lane tower themselves. Haddo just doing his best to deny the bases, and actually he's going to trade pretty evenly with Tati. Tati very squishy on that Elise right now.
Yeah, at the moment he's a little bit behind. Because he came to the top lane, he hasn't been able to get that much farm, but you can see in the bottom lane, Artorias doing a very good job trading with Dumbo, but Dumbo's so overextended, he really needs to be careful about being this deep at this point.
But the thing is, he knows full well that Tati's here because he's stood on a ward, so he's not even nervous right now on that Olaf. And honestly, if you're going to play Olaf, you can't really be a nervous player. That's not really the champion for you if you're not going to be confident in yourself. And clearly, Dumbo is playing very confidently, taking Artorias down to about a quarter of his HP there, but he's not really going to be able to go for a dive against that tree this early.
Meanwhile, you can see Plex moving into the top lane. They might be looking to do a dive themselves.
They might indeed. Looks like they decide that the tower is going to be the objective that they go for instead, and they should be able to finish this one off. So 2 towers to 1 now in favour of Choke. Once that one goes down, they are just going to deny as many minions as possible before getting that last auto attack. There it goes down, and that's going to be 2 for 1 in favour of Choke for towers, but 2 for 1 in favour of XL for kills.
Yeah, and as this is all happening, XL are slowly starting to lose vision around the jungle as well as the buffs. This is unfortunate for Tati. He just overstayed a little bit too much in the top lane, trying his best to help his teammates, which I honestly don't think he needed to do. They didn't really time their backs very well, and as a result now they've lost that top tower, and they've lost a buff as well.
Yeah, they certainly have, and now we see 3 members going towards this mid lane here. I don't think they'll really be able to achieve too much. Ped is comfortably going to be able to clear those minions out on that Corki. You have plenty of abilities to use to get those ones, and Tati, by the looks of things, is going to take away that blue buff, but actually Artorias is the one in a lot of trouble. Flashes away, but there's an entire team waiting for him. One more auto attack will finish him. The Gromp, in fact, is going to be the one to take down the tree. Nocturnal Plex getting kill credit for that one, despite it being the Frog's work.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Artorias, he didn't have the vision to be that deep on the map, and obviously with the Ragnarok coming out from Dumbo, there was no way he was going to be slowed by the Arcane Smash of Artorias. So thanks to the nice rotations of Choke, they were able to rotate down to the bottom, pick themselves up a kill, and the first Drake of the game.
Yeah, Womp Womp, he's a grump, and he's not happy with Artorias apparently taking that one out. Clearly, that Frog is playing for Choke Gaming, and immediately Plex just going to kill the Frog anyway, despite all of his help. How rude. How rude.
And as all that, Alchemist satisfyingly cleans that out. Flash in the bottom, though!
Yeah, in the bottom lane, I can't even find who's there. It's Tati, who is going to have to rappel over the wall. And this is the issue with lane swaps, is my keybinds are all backwards. But Tati is going to be able to get away from that one narrowly with his life. Did have to use his flash to escape, but he's going to be more than happy with that trade. Flash for his life. It's going to be much better than giving another kill over to Dumbo Smash.
Yeah, Nocturnal Plex going for the flash insect play, managing to knock Tati straight into his ally in the form of an Olaf, and he almost lost his life, but a very clutch flash manages to save the day. So well played by Tati to get out of that. Overall, only a flash for flash traded, and you can see now a nice freeze coming in the bottom lane. And what Choke have done is they're prioritizing farm. They're still making sure that Alchemist is getting farm by putting him in the top lane. He can probably hold his own against Artorias now that he's level 9 and he has the first upgraded of his Hex Core. Meanwhile, they've decided to put the bottom lane in the mid, so that means that a lot more pressure can be applied to this middle tower with the bottom lane from Choke. So nice rotations and nice decision making from Choke, constantly trying to apply pressure over to XL.
Yeah, and honestly, with Dumbo Smash on this Olaf, despite him not even being that strong, like statistically, he can pretty much 1v1 whoever he wants. If he lands an Undertow onto that Cogmore, he can chase it up quite easily and start to lay into that Void Beast. But he's not quite going to be able to connect that one onto him. Jokerism trying to punish out that Viking for overextending.
Plex.
In the meantime, Plex gets locked up in the mid lane. That's going to be a kill over onto Ped. They try and turn it into more, but Haddo going to jump back to his teammates with that stand behind me. And a nice, easy pickup for XL.
Plex trying to pick up a knockback onto Ped, but he's just too aggressive. You can see now 3 have regrouped in the middle lane, trying to take away this middle tower. It does look like they're going to be able to pick it up for themselves, so that's now all of the outer towers down in favor of Choke. And while initially the lane swap looked in favor of XL, Choke have managed to play the positioning of their champions and their players very well, and now they've managed to continue and maintain this gold lead.
They certainly have, and I mean, right now it's looking difficult for XL because they seem to be being proactive. They seem to be making the plays, but despite all of these things that are going in their favor, they're still 1,000 gold behind to Choke. And I mean, while they do have a Cogmore that is going to take some time to ramp up, it's certainly not fantastic when you're the ones being proactive, you're the ones making these things happen, and then it's never quite going in their favor.
But at this point in the game, it's not the worst thing in the world to be how far away they currently are. It's not that bad because to siege these tier 2 towers is going to be very difficult for the side of Choke. They do have good sieging in the form of Tristana and Victor, but to siege a tier 2 this early onto the game is going to be very difficult. Meanwhile, Taddy may be caught out.
He might indeed. Another auto attack is going to keep the Braum passive up. He's going to be stunned up. That's a kill for Nocturnal Plex. The Dragon Rage is going to be used to finish that one off. Notorious. His health bar melts away as Scott going to finish off that kill. And 2 easy pickups for Choke there. Bit of mispositioning coming out from XL.
Unfortunately, the vision line coming out from Choke is just too far behind right now. It's too deep into their own jungle. They need to be pushing it up to the entrances of their jungle. Then they would have definitely seen Haddo and Plex walking in, and they would have been able to prevent it. Instead, Artorias ends up losing his life trying to help Tati, and now he's falling even further behind. So this isn't very good for XL. They need to just keep playing this passive game. They need to wait for this the later the game to go. They need this double Trinity Force power spike, and they just need to wait really. They have a good scaling composition, and it'll definitely outscale that of Choke, and they just need to be patient. That's all they need to do.
They certainly do, and we'll see if they're going to be able to play that patient scaling game, or whether they're going to keep on getting caught out like we just saw them in that jungle. Should they be able to just hold on here, as you say, that Cogmore is going to ramp up so powerfully in the late game, and it's going to be an absolute menace to deal with. But again, on the other side, you've got Dumbo Smash on the Olaf. Are they going to be able to protect this Cogmore when that Ragnarok comes out, when he charges in with those undertows? Is Cogmore going to be able to escape?
Well, once he's got that Black Cleaver completed, he should be in a better position, because obviously that will give him quite a big speed boost that will enable him to kite Olaf a little bit better, but it's also going to rely very heavily on his fancy footwork. Can he dodge those undertows? Can Janna peel for him as well as he really needs? Meanwhile, we do see the Drake coming up in 45 seconds. Everyone does obviously have a timer, and right now both teams are just contesting vision around this point, but a lot of farm is going to go to waste in that top lane.
It certainly is, and that's going to be Dumbo Smash just pushing that one up to the tower, in fact, and he has teleport available. This is bad news for Excel, because Choke right now, 20 seconds on Dragon. In fact, the fight is kicking off as the teleport comes through for Artorias, but immediately he decides to back away. Sir Scott's been caught out. He's incredibly low, flashes over the wall with heal, and he's going to be able to survive. Dumbo did have to use the teleport, though, so at least they don't lose the top lane tower.
Yeah, so now XL slightly out of position, though. They did get a nice advantage in that fight, burn both the summoners and Sir Scott, but now they can't defend the mid lane. They're going to have to go the long way around to prevent this push onto the middle tower, but I do believe they'll be able to push Choke off. Definitely Sir Scott being that far behind. Maybe they'll even look to rotate to the top tower.
Maybe they will. It looks like that is the call coming out. Are XL going to try and defend this one, or are they just going to trade it for a dragon? Looks like they are searching for this fight, and actually maybe Choke have decided that this is one that they don't want to follow up on. They're going to go down towards this Tri-Brush. I think they're maybe looking for a catch, but actually the base call is going to come out. DX Alchemist just going to push this wave underneath the tower, and they don't seem to be able to decide what they want to do here.
Well, they're basically reacting to what XL do. They fake they fake the back, and that forces XL to sort of respond to move down. But as now they see the XL hand back, they decided to push that top tower into the top lane tower, and now they're going to get a free back. They've effectively reset this dragon fight, and hopefully Ped can pick himself up this tower in the middle lane. But XL need to quickly back, they need to heal up, they need to get whatever items they can and start prepping for this next Drake fight.
Yeah, absolutely, and Tati actually going to start this one off. I don't know if they can kill it in time. The Choke lineup is certainly barreling in across the map to try and get here. Tati already down to half HP. Can they finish off this dragon? Hado is going to be here. Plex, sorry, is going to be here as he has to flash over the wall. Artorias taking a huge chunk of damage, but Choke deciding that they don't want to force the fight on this one. Not quite able to get there in time for the steal. It's going to be 1-1 on the Dragons.
Yeah, so you can see now Choke looking to push this mid lane tower down. As I said, they do have good siege in the form of Alchemist and Alchemist and Tristana on. My words are getting all mixed up as well. It's just one of those days, isn't it, Munch? And but they are going to get a lot of damage down onto this middle tower. They haven't reacted quickly enough, and it does actually look like they're going to give this way completely uncontested.
Yeah, with the AD carry down in the bottom lane, they can't really fight for that one. And actually, we see Jokerism decides not to push onto this one. No, he does decide to, just to prove me wrong there. He heard me saying it and decided he doesn't want to base just yet. He's going to be able to take that tier 1. Artorias is just going to be slowed down by the Hado. And Hado seems to love to play these supports that you can just wind up your opponents with. We saw him on that Trundle. Actually, no, that wasn't the Hado. That was Wisdom playing that Trundle. I don't know what I'm talking about now. That is going to be a tier 2 tower going down, though. And that is going to be another objective for Choke Gaming.
Yeah, so nice rotations coming out from Choke. Picking up 2 free towers like that is just pure misposition from XL. They weren't in a position to defend either tower, and it all stems from the fact that Jokerism went bot to pick up that farm, and unfortunately, while they do get a tower, that's just going to extend the gold lead in favor of Choke to 2,000 gold. Now, obviously, again, that's not a massive issue, but losing this much control over the game this early on is not very good for XL, because in the mid game is where a massive power spike is around for Choke Gaming. But as I've said, the longer this game goes, the better it is for XL. You can see Trinity Force completed for both Cogmore and Corki. You can see the Rod of Ages completed for Maokai, and these teams are just going to be getting stronger and stronger the later the game goes.
They certainly are, and I mean, I feel like at this point, when we start to get to the late game, it's going to kind of be Jokerism's late game carry versus DX Alchemist's late game carry. Obviously, that Victor's damage late on is absolutely disgusting. You can one-shot people with the laser and Chaos Storm on top of it, and we'll see if they're going to be able to get onto this Cogmore, though. That's the question, because they have the Janna, they have the Elise, they have that tree up in the top lane to peel this Cogmore, but it's incredibly difficult to peel that Olaf away from your carry as he's completely unCCable. We do have a short pause coming out, unfortunately. One of the players suffering from a little bit of lag, so hopefully they'll be able to get that resolved super quick for themselves and we'll be able to get back into the game. Going to go and reset that, the old router. Maybe try and fix that one
the second one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're probably going to plug in the second router so that they can just get it going super quick. They've already got it plugged in fact. It's already on. They just need to swap the Ethernets around.
Brilliant support from UK organisations.
Yeah.
But how about we have a quick run through? The one thing I want to note, right, is that the vast majority of deaths are sitting on Artorias. Something that we kind of expected, where Artorias either does really well or doesn't. But in fairness to Artorias, a lot of pressure has been put onto him. He did get forced into that lane swap, and he did get a 1 versus 2 solo kill, which he might have got away with if Nocturnal Plex wasn't hanging around at the time. So he did well in the early game, and he's doing well to maintain what the CS differential between him and Dumbo. So he's doing a decent job, but other than that, like, there's no deaths onto any of the carries of XL, and that's fantastic. That's really good for the side of XL, because I keep harping on about this late game, and it really is good for the side of XL. And while you rightly said Alchemist definitely going for that late game Victor. Ooh, Jokerism. Yeah,
Jokerism is in all sorts of trouble right now. Hado going very aggressive, but actually it could be him that's in trouble. Has to use that stand behind me to jump over to Nocturnal Plex, and he's going to be able to get that Braum to safety. And nobody going to be going down in that jungle, so nearly getting a catch. Both teams, in fact, nearly getting a catch, but then backing away from it as Plex and the Hado start to try and get some vision control of the enemy red side jungle.
Okay, so you can see that they've pinged out that Jokerism is in the bottom lane, and as a result, they're starting to get vision around this around this Baron. They're getting deep vision in the top half of the jungle, and they're setting up for this dragon because they recognize that for them, this is a point where they're extremely powerful, and for XL, they're not as strong as they need to be to win these fights. So they're gaining vision control, and they're going to force XL towards this Baron. And the moment XL come to try and contest this Baron is the moment that Choke are going to turn it around and start the fight with them, and that's not what XL wants. So they need to shove out these waves, they need to regain vision control, and they need to keep on with this farm game that at the moment they're doing very well at.
They certainly are, and I mean, a lot of this game so far has been kind of positional play. We saw the top lane tier 2 going down purely because of rotational play, and we saw the dragon as well nearly was contested due to the rotations coming out from Choke Gaming. So clearly they have a plan. They know how to play this team composition. They know what they're trying to achieve. But the question is, when are they going to pull the trigger? Are they going to start to push in? I know it's difficult for them right now because those two Triforces have come out onto Ped and onto Jokerism. So there is a huge power spike right now for XL, and I feel like that's kind of the reason that this game has started to slow down a little.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. But I expect the moment that Blade of the Ruin King is done for Jokerism, we're going to see a lot of threat coming out from XL. I really think they're going to start putting on the pressure, and as long as they play these team fights well, it should go in their favor, because at the moment they've done nothing to shut Jokerism down, and he is becoming a monster on that Cogmore right now. And I honestly think this is going to be down to Jokerism to win this fight, because if Jokerism gets caught out of position even once, then Choke are just going to snowball the game in their favor.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things about when you play that Cogmore. If you get caught out, you have no escape. You have no sort of... The only thing you have is that slow, and realistically, when there's a Victor with a Chaos Storm on your head, when you're stunned up by Braum, that slow is not going to feel like it's enough to get yourself to safety. And we are just going to see Sir Scott heading back to Bath. Back to Bath. He's going to go and have a bath at Bath. But both teams playing this one quite slowly at the moment, not wanting to do anything too crazy, not wanting to throw anything away. 2,000 gold is the lead here in favour of Choke Gaming. And actually, if we take a look across the board, the CS is pretty much even if you consider all lanes. The junglers are about the same, AD carries are about the same. In the mid lane, there is about a 15 gap in favour of the Victor, but then up in the top lane there is a slight lead over to Artorias, but actually, as I say that, it's been minimized as we can see Dumbo smash up in that top lane, clearing away those minions. So ever so slight lead in the CS over to Choke, but really nothing too crazy.
So very impressive to see that both teams have early upgraded their trinkets. You can see both vision totems coming out from both Ped and Artorias, as well as both Dumbo and Alchemist. So they're contributing to the vision, and this is extremely important as the dragon is just about to spawn. But it does look like that Choke are going to get this fairly uncontested. They were in position sooner. They got the vision down that they needed, and XL are fine with that, and they're going to use this as an opportunity to try and regain vision control around the Baron, and that's a very good decision. I like this decision making coming out from XL. Very well played by them.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get some control of that area, but the Haddo is here to try and ruin their day. He's going to throw out a couple of deep wards in that jungle and try and make sure that the split-second XL look towards that Baron. Choke are going to know all about it and be able to react accordingly. The ex-Alchemist just lasering over that wall, trying to get the cheeky steal onto the little baby wolves there.
But one thing we should mention is that initially we talked about Tati, their coach, their analyst, being on their team, and actually that's very useful, because you have to remember that he is very aware of the problems of the team, he's very aware of the common mistakes, and he can consistently remind his team what they need to be doing. He can tell them, we have the type of composition that scales well into the late game, we don't need to rush into anything, we just need to stall this game out and wait. That is our win condition, and that's not actually that bad. And he is playing Elise, who arguably, depending on who you talk to, is not that mechanically demanding of a champion. She does obviously have skill shots, but thinking about it, she actually has one. The rest of her abilities are pretty targeted, so
technically the volatile smiling is somewhat of a skill shot.
But nevertheless, we haven't thought about the advantages that having a coach in the game actually offers.
In your squad, yeah. Yeah, we'll see if he's going to be able to make those sort of knowledgeable plays as we head towards the 26-minute mark here. Tier 2 tower on the bottom lane is going to be the objective that Choke are looking towards, but with the quick rotation out from XL, they're not going to be able to pick that tower up just yet, and that is going to be the Grump stolen away there by Plex. And with Dumbo up in this top lane, somebody is going to have to eventually go up and react to that Viking, but with the Tier 2 tower already down in the top lane, it's incredibly hard.
Oh.
What? What? How is that? Oh.
Because of the positioning of the pink ward, you have to remember that brush goes round at an angle, and so because of where that green ward is, they can't see the pink.
Look,
now, if you change change the
I am sad.
The shadows, you should be able to see that both that green ward can't see the pink ward either. So XL have no idea that pink is even in there. So advantage vision for both teams, and very unfortunate. But now you can see that Blade of the Ruin King completed for Ped, and the Blade of the Ruin King should be picked up, yes, for Jokerism. So now both the AD carry and mid laner for XL definitely in a good position, and even though they're 3,000 gold behind, that's pretty much all in towers. There is a slight CS advantage, so it does come a little bit from that, and the kill advantage obviously, but nevertheless that's still very small. It's not big enough for Choke to necessarily win this fight. It's very heavily down to how both these teams play these team fights.
Well, at least this pink ward's working for them. They are going to be able to clear out the vision in that Baron pit. And maybe Baron is an objective that both these teams start looking towards. I mean, with that Cog more in the lineup of XL, with the percent damage, they certainly can take that Baron incredibly quickly. But they're certainly going to have to find some way to get Choke out of position or get a pick onto one of the members to be able to consider that objective. Haddo in so much trouble. Is he going to go down to this one? Has to use the Heart of the Mountain. Jokerism can't quite finish it off. Actually, can he finish this one off? One more shot from the ultimate will finish it, but he can't quite connect it. Haddo so close to going down. Had his flash available, actually, so would have been able to flash away from the ult if it was going to get him, but...
So now we can see the damage coming out of Jokers, and that was onto the support that doesn't have many defensive stats, and he did have a little bit of help from Baron, but nevertheless you can honestly see how much damage Jokerism is throwing out at this point in the game. Definitely hitting his power spikes, and we're getting to a point now where I don't know what Choke are going to be able to do. It's going to be very reliant on Dumbo ripping through, but he's got no armor. He has no way to deal with the Kog'Maw. He's in so much trouble. I cannot wait for a team fight to kick off because it's going to be so exciting.
Yeah, the damage from that Kog'Maw is going to be ridiculous. And as well, Ped on that Corki, he's finished the Blade of the Rune King too, so a lot of percent damage coming out from these teams with the Gatling gun melting away any armor that is available for the Choke lineup. There's certainly going to be a lot of damage coming out from these two AD carries. But the question is, do they get this 5v5 fight that they want, or are they going to end up getting picked off? Obviously, the Lee Sin in the hands of Nocturnal Plex is definitely a champion that can go for these catches. A nice gravity field, though, is going to deny the full-on engage here. Chaos Storm onto 2, but it's not going to get the initial damage as Artorias is in on the backline trying to do what he can, but he's going to be going down. Dumbo Smash has to use the Ragnarok defensively just to try and get away, but all in all, it's a 1-for-0 in favor of Choke.
Yeah, Artorias tried to get the flank off, but a really nice disengage coming out from Alchemist prevented the follow-up from XL, and at the moment Artorias was completely out of position, they could just use all of their resources to focus him down. Nocturnal Plex takes a massive... Alchemist!
Oh, Alchemist did so much trouble. He gets exploded there. That's going to be a kill onto Jokerism, which is the worst possible target if you're Choke Gaming right now. That Kog'Maw is starting to get huge, and now they barrel in on towards these mid lane towers.
Yeah, so now with Alchemist, their primary wave cleared down, and with Nocturnal Plex having to base, they should be able to get this tier 2 tower, and let's see whether or not they're going to go for any aggression.
Yeah, Haddo does get caught up by a Cocoon, but they decide they don't want to follow up on that one. They do not want to go for a tower dive. Not very many tanky members here for the XL lineup, with Artorias going down in that previous fight, but all in all, it's a 1-for-1, but with that tower secured, and now the Dragon started off. XL certainly looking like they're taking some advantages here, but this could well... I say it could be a 5v5. Victor's nowhere near. Can they get the Dragon, though? It just reset, but Tati finishes it off, and now Dumbo running to the hills with that Ragnarok ticking. It's finally run out, though. Ped throwing out those rockets as fast as he can. But it's going to be XL picking up yet another objective.
Yeah, very well played. They recognized that Alchemist had just respawned, and they didn't want to go too aggressive, because if Alchemist had rejoined that fight, they would have been in some serious trouble. Now, as Choke recognized that XL have decided that they need to back, they're going to put a bit of pressure onto this Baron. They are going to take away the Scuttle Crab, and they do have a lot of vision around that lane. I wonder whether or not they're going to be able to set anything up.
Plex looking for the kick onto Ped there, but he's not going to be able to find it. It would have been a tall order to just get that ward jump and kick immediately, especially against a champion like Corki. Does have that Valkyrie to be able to get away from those tricky situations. And now the Haddo trying to do his best to defend this vision that they have around this Baron pit, but Exabyte is going to be able to finish off that pink ward in the river, going to be able to start to try and contest the vision control that Choke have of this Baron pit right now. With Artorias here as well, they should be able to do so. Yeah,
something that I just want to mention, and I've said it in the past, don't set up vision control with pink wards if you can't defend it. There were 2 members of XL there versus 4, and XL walked in and took it, and it looks like they're going to start the Baron.
They are indeed. They're on the Scuttle Crab, though. Choke are well aware that this is happening. Zivis was down in the bottom lane, but now he's on his way as fast as he can. But they're using it to bait a fight. Nocturnal Plex is going to be able to ward jump to safety, though. The Baron is down below half HP. Can they get this one? The fight is going to kick off as Haddo gets a knock up onto every member, and XL peel away from the Baron. They're looking to try and take down the Haddo, and they're going to be able to, but Artorias trades his own life for it. It's Dumbo Smash charging on through. He is a big Viking right now as he lands that axe onto 4 members. He's looking for the slows. Can he finish anyone off? Exabyte so low. There's the Chaos Storm. Ped's going to fall as well. So Scott looking for more, grabs himself a double, and this could be the Baron.
Yeah, they look like they wanted to bait the Baron to start a fight, but unfortunately it was only Haddo that walked into them, and this is not looking good. But meanwhile, we can see here the moment they start the Baron, it actually gets very low. They could have gone for the finish, but a very nice disengage coming out from the side of from Choke prevent them from being able to pick that one up. And you can see they drop the Haddo, but then the moment Smash joins the fight, they have to run away. They just don't have the disengage. They use all their CC trying to stop Smash from getting anything, but they just can't. There's not enough there, and unfortunately for XL, they do end up losing 3 overall in that fight. They only trade 3 for 1, and they actually lose another one in the form of Taddy, but they do actually prevent the Baron from being taken. So they do stop that Baron, but they end up giving up 4 in order to do it. So 4 for 1 overall in the favor of Choke Gaming.
Yeah, and that has boosted this gold lead to 4,000 now. It's finally starting to get to some substantial kind of number. And honestly, I feel like XL, they couldn't decide what they wanted to do in that gauge. They started off with the Baron, then they peeled away to go for the fight, but then changed their mind, went back to the Baron, took a load more damage, then went for the fight, and then decided to just retreat overall. So at all points during that engage, they were taking damage, whether it were from Baron or from Choke Gaming, whereas Choke were able to sort of peel away, regroup themselves, and then go for that re-engage, and it worked absolute wonders for them. And honestly, with Dumbo Smash being able to just charge on through the team like he was in that fight, it's gonna look terrifying for the Jokerism in these next couple of engages.
Well, he now has his last Whisper completed, so he should be able to hit through the fair amount of armor that Smash has been able to pick up. The one thing that we haven't really talked about is actually how strong Sir Scott is on this Tristana. Yeah. He's now completed his Bloodthirst and a QSS. He's sitting at 4-1-2, and he's had an incredible game so far. He's been consistently throwing out this damage and really hurting the, well, pretty much the entire team of XL. He's doing so well at the moment, and you can see Choke consistently pushing forward to get deep vision down, and it's very difficult for XL to push their vision line up past their base because of the amount of pressure that's being applied by Choke. They have full vision control around that Baron almost at all times in the game, and we will see whether or not that vision enables them to pick up a kill, and they can quickly take the Baron themselves.
Yeah, they certainly could. And Nocturnal Plex as well, 4-1-3 on that Lee Sin right now. He's finished off that Aegis of the Legion, has the Merc Treads, and now he's starting to finally get some much needed armor to be able to protect himself from the mid lane and AD carry of XL. And actually Choke looking to completely dominate vision control of this red side jungle. And XL, honestly, it's incredibly difficult for them to be able to try and reclaim this, because they can't afford to just face check that jungle. They can't afford to get caught out, especially against something like a Braum. You are going to get stunned if that Q hits you. You are going to get locked up and you will go down, especially with the follow-up damage coming out from DX Alchemist on that Victor. 322 farm on that champion.
That is definitely the case, and I mean, he's now completed his death cap as well as the third upgrade onto his hex core, so yeah, he is currently sitting on 606 ability power. So I mean, we've hyped up the late game potential of XL with a Cogmore. You definitely can't disregard that, but Choke have done a fair amount of, they've done well in terms of keeping up. Victor definitely does a lot of damage into the late game, and with 606 ability power and with very few magic resist items coming out from the side of XL, they're not going to stand for very long against that if they catch themselves out of position. But we did see Alchemist slightly out of position earlier on, and that enabled XL to get a very nice advantage in the form of picking up a second tier tower. So we should be jumping back into game in a little while, but along with Alchemist, they also have Tristana, who's ridiculously strong right now, and Tati very smartly throws that Spiraling out just to make sure. See if Choke are trying to set up a little pick, but you can see how good this
another one. Oh, Rito, please. Rito, why?
Or Smash in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Smash is going in onto Artorias in this bottom lane. Can he consistently land the Ragnaroks, though? He doesn't even want to. He's decided he's not going to go for the fight, just going to use those vicious strikes to heal himself back up after that bit of a trade. And with this consistent pressure in the bottom lane from Dumbo Smash, it's going to be so hard for XL to be able to commit to an objective. And Dragon going to be coming up in just 20 seconds. Who's going to be able to grab their third one? It's 2-2 so far. Choke looking to try and grab this tree for themselves, get themselves a little bit of lumber. But that ward is going to spot them out and it's going to protect them. And actually, the Baron's going to be started off by XL.
Yeah, they should take this incredibly quickly, but you do see the teleport coming out from Dumbo Smash, and immediately they're going to disengage from it.
The teleport is actually used by Artorias here, despite them just going for the disengage. And actually, Dumbo Smash is going very aggressive. He's looking for Jokerism, but his health bar melts down and he has to back away again. Ragnarok was already used, but look at these trades. Jokerism just does so much to that Olaf, and actually Choke could potentially go for, yeah, they're sending the AD carry off to push up in that mid lane. The inhibitor tower is exposed right now, so Scott is going so aggressive for this one. All Choke have to do is stop the recalls right now. Artorias actually could be in all sorts of trouble. He's going to be slowed down. That's the inhibitor tower finally dropping. And in fact, Nocturnal Plex has gone to help him out. Artorias, why have they committed to this fight if Plex isn't here as well? They need to run for their lives. Alchemist is going to be going down. Ped looking for more onto the Hado. And in fact, it's going to be Smash that distracts them. If he can get the slows down, he might be able to escape, but the Cocoon lands. Smash is going to be one dead Viking, and he falls. Now, the inhibitor down for Choke Gaming, but are they going to lose this Baron?
They need to be extremely careful. Plex is still around. He can go for the potential steal, and so Scott isn't weak.
He certainly is. Tati is very, very low here, and they're going to go for the fight. So Scott jumps in, but Pet Valkyrie's in the wrong direction, forcing him to flash away. That's the summoner spell burned, and the Baron has been denied. But Plex, what are you doing? Has to jump away from this one, as does Hado, but he goes down. Now Sir Scott in a world of hurt. He's going to be flashed onto by Jokerism, who's going to be able to take the 1v1. Or is he? Yes, he is. The ultimate does land. That's going to be a double kill for Jokerism. And this should be the Baron for XL, but actually, they aren't very tanky. The Cogmore damage is going to be here, and with Plex here, they're going to have to back away.
Yeah, it does look like they're just going to go over and take the dragon instead, or maybe they're not. They're just going to back such a chaotic fight out of all of that. We should have a replay coming up on your screen in a little while, but that already started. Great position. They caught Nocturnal Plex out. Unfortunately, weren't able to kill him, but that forced the heal out of Sir Scott. And you can see at this point the amount of damage coming out from Jokerism. He's just doing so much damage. He even flashes in and goes for the 1v1 versus Scott, but Scott doing so much damage. Unfortunately, doesn't get very many crits, so he doesn't win the 1v1, and it's looking great. Maybe they can pick themselves up the Baron, but unfortunately that's not the case now. With them heading around over to the Drake, Choke are going to set up vision control around the Baron once again, and I'm not sure if that was worth it because they've lost their middle inhibitor now, and it does look like that they're just going to start this Baron straight away.
Do they know that this is going on? I think they do. Finally, they've realized it as the global sound has come out from that dragon, and immediately they start off the Baron. They might just be able to take this one away. The AD carry, though, is not just here yet. Sir Scott has not committed to this. He's going for the Scuttle Crab instead. And they're not going to be able to take the Baron. I feel like if Sir Scott had been attacking as well, they could have committed to that. Maybe,
but their Baron clear isn't quite as quick as that from XL, and you could see that coming out. Smash hasn't built very damage-centered. He's not doing a ridiculous amount of damage, especially onto objectives, and same for Lee Sin. He's gone very tanky with the Thornmail coming out, so he's definitely very scared of this double AD composition coming out from XL. Meanwhile, they are going to push up into the top tower, and we'll have to see whether or not XL decide to go for this engage right here, because this would definitely be a good opportunity for them.
Yeah, it certainly would. We'll see if they're going to be able to find those opportunities, though, if they can catch someone out to engage the fight. Take a look down in the bottom lane, though. There is a massive minion wave built up for XL. If they can just keep Choke busy, that will slowly but surely push in on to take that tier 2 tower. It has just been pinged out, though. And honestly, with this massive wave in the bottom lane, they maybe get an opportunity on Baron, but they've been caught out. That's going to be a beautiful kick onto Jokerism. A double kill comes through. The Chaos Storm did so much. As Exabyte going to be the next target. He gets caught by the Ragnarok. Look at Nocturnal Plex flies across the screen to pick that one up. Disastrous news for XL as Choke, they're looking to end the game.
Yeah, and that's a real shame for XL because all game Choke have been trying to set up these picks inside of XL's jungle, and the one time that XL didn't actually check that brush is the one time that they actually get caught out. Choke are now going to be looking to push down on these Nexus towers, but Ped is still alive, so is Artorias. I wonder whether or not they can hold them off.
It's going to be difficult with Dumbo Smash there. They're going to be able to take down the first Nexus tower. That's going to be Artorias falling as well. The slicing Maelstrom just not doing enough damage, even though it's called Vengeful Maelstrom, and that is going to be the Nexus falling down. We're not going to replay of that one. That is going to be the game. Choke Gaming take it. That's 1-0 in this series so far.
An incredibly close game from both sides. XL definitely putting up an impressive performance considering they do have a substitute jungler in the form of their